Marimo notebooks are stored as Python files on disk, and this comes with a lot of benefits. In this video though, I'm going to talk about one benefit in particular, and that is that we can reuse modern Python features like the stack from UV. And let me show you what I mean by that. What I've got over here is an empty Python file called demo.py, and I'm going to go ahead and tell Marimo to turn that into a notebook. I can do that by saying marimo edit, but I am now also going to add this one flag that is going to sandbox that file. So I'm going to start this first, but we're going to get back to this real quick. Now, before looking at the browser itself, you will notice that we are actually running this in a sandbox, and we are running UV run under the hood with an isolated flag. And even though it's quite quick, we can also see that a bunch of packages got installed. This will be Marimo and its dependencies. And before even looking at the notebook, you will also notice that this demo.py file now comes with this one comment on top. And this is a PEP feature that UV supports very well. You're able to declare a version of Python that's intended for this script, and you can also declare dependencies. We're going to go to the notebook in a bit, and when I do, I'm going to import some libraries. But what Marimo will do under the hood for us, it's going to make sure that any dependencies that we add also get added over here. And by doing so, we get a nice self-contained Python file that has all the dependencies built in. So no separate requirements.txt file is needed. If you pass this one file along, it should be self-contained and fully reproducible. So let's start importing some libraries. I'm going to import polars, and let's also import Altair. Those are two great libraries to have. When I run this cell, it's going to complain that the dependencies aren't installed yet. So what I can go ahead and do is confirm by installing via this prompt. And then after a bit, everything seems installed and it's not complaining anymore. And I can even go to this packages tab to the left over here and confirm that, for example, Altair is now part of the notebook and there's a specific version that's been installed. When I now go back to the demo.py file, you'll notice that the dependencies over here have indeed updated. Altair with a very specific version has now been added. And here's the cool thing with this. If I were now to stop this notebook, now look what happens if I were to just try and edit that one file. The moment that I run this, it is going to say, hey, we are noticing that there are some inlined package dependencies here. And that means that we could also edit this file in a sandboxed environment. And that is preferable. So I can go ahead and say yes now, and it's going to start up an environment locally. And you can also see that it's done a little bit of installation. And when I inspect the notebook, it doesn't complain about these packages being missing anymore because they have already been installed. I can once again go here, confirm that Altair is here. And if I scroll down, I also see polars. That one comment at the top of the Python file took care of all of that. Now, to wrap up this video with one final demo, I extended this notebook such that it actually also does something. I was just importing a few things above here, but now I'm also using it. There's a slider that I've added over here, as well as a chart, and in order to make that chart, I need both polars as well as Altair to be around. And what this app now allows me to do is it allows me to make the chart just bigger, mainly by extending or shortening the x-axis. So, okay, this is now something that could run as a Marimo app. I have a slider, I have a chart that can update. So if I were now to go back and exit edit mode, what I could now do is I could tell Marimo to run that demo.py file. It would once again detect that it's in a sandboxed environment. And lo and behold, I'm also able to use this sandboxed environment when I run the app in not edit mode, but also in the app mode, which is quite convenient if you're interested in maybe deploying this. Theoretically, you could even go a step further, because technically right now I need to be in a virtual environment that has Marimo around in order to actually run this. So one thing I could also go ahead and do is I could just call UV run. I can tell it that I want to run this with Marimo around. And by doing this, UV is first going to make a virtual environment that has just Marimo inside of it. And then inside of that, another virtual environment will be made such that I'm able to run this one Python file. And again, the reason why all of this works is because we have this on top of the Python file. We're able to really make sure that our notebook is nice and self-contained, because Python comes with features now that make scripts very nice and self-contained. So there are lots of benefits of storing your notebook inside of a Python file. You can also run it as a script, for example. But if I had to pick my favorite feature, the fact that my entire notebook is self-contained by just having a single file that I can pass around, that is just an amazing feature. It really is.